Well, what's the end result of no-regret marriages and families? What does the Bible say we can have? Well, this is God's plan. There are a few words. If you, and since I got this invitation, I've been working on it the whole time. Precious gave me a great challenge because I started studying everything I could think of about the family. And few words can describe the sheer delights of a marriage as God designed it to be. And if I was a salesman of something, I would sell marriage because it's the most precious commodity we could offer people. The Lord planned for His people to have marriages. Now listen to how the Lord describes what He offers us. Joyful rivers of intoxicating blessings. I mean, you know, people that like to drink. I grew up in a home that my folks met in a bar, and I mean, they love to drink, or did before they were saved. And, you know, can you imagine to a drinking person having a river of booze? I mean, it would be unbelievable. You could have all you wanted. God says a marriage is like a joyful river of intoxicating. The more you have, the more you want. That's what intoxication's all about. You want more, and it just makes you merrier and merrier. That's what marriage is like. Secondly, God describes marriage as a fruitful vine that delightfully grows around our lives. That's what children are. Thirdly, marriage is described as such a wonderful attraction in the life of Jacob. The 7 years of hard labor waiting for his bride was like a moment. That's how great marriage is. You can do hard labor for 7 years, and it goes by just like that. And it doesn't even seem like it happened because that joy is so great. And finally, goodness and favor from the Lord, it says in Proverbs, a companion of our youth. And by the way, all of us in our minds, we have captured ourselves at some age that was our peak. And that's how we still see ourselves through our eyes. When we look in the mirror, we don't believe that. But when we look out through our eyes, and if you capture in your mind the wife, the companion of your youth, to whom you make a lifelong covenant, and a wife we enjoy so much that we sport with them, like Isaac and Rebekah. I was reading the Hebrew commentaries. I was sharing with Bonnie what it said. She says, she says, does it really say that? I said, yes. I said, this idea that Isaac had with his wife, it was so clear to the king of the Philistines, whatever his name was, I forget, Phicol or whoever saw them, or Abimelech. It was so clear that Isaac was married to Rebekah by what he was doing because the love of that husband in a quiet moment sitting on a bench in a garden was so overwhelming that man spying on them said, surely those two are married. If people watched you, if they saw you walking through the store, would they say, surely that couple is married, the way they're relating to each other? If they saw, you know, what troubles me, and I know you all primarily probably don't let your children watch movies and TV very much, and you filter them like we do, but in the greater world we live in, the only place heavy romance is seen is between unmarried people. They never see it with us. I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about us as the church. They should. They should see this unbelievable love that flows out, because that's going to impact not just your marriage, but the family too. Well, God's plan, all of us here tonight, blessed in our marriages and families, can testify what God's Word describes is exactly what we who have followed the Lord have experienced. A biblical or a no-regret marriage and family is just a small snapshot of the delights of heaven. You should have a heavenly marriage, and it isn't a joke, and you don't tease about it. It is a reality that we experience. In fact, God picked marriage to describe what heaven is like. He described what salvation is like. He used a husband and a wife. Wow, some I see, I wouldn't be attracted to salvation. We're supposed to be a living picture of Christ's love, Christ's acceptance, Christ's total fulfillment. Secondly, a biblical or a no-regret marriage and family is just a living portrait of the perfect love of Jesus. We see a husband who indwelt by the Holy Spirit, lives out that self-sacrificing love, and we see a wife indwelt by the same Spirit that gives that full-hearted, consecrated devotion and response back. And finally, a biblical or no-regret marriage and family is just a traveling demonstration of the way the Lord works on earth. And it should be that when people see the relationship between a husband and wife that love the Lord and the outflow of that into their family, they're kind of like a traveling advertisement, a streaming audio or video online of what God wants us to be. Winston Churchill, no paragon of godliness, but he had a good marriage, believe it or not. And he was once attending a formal banquet in London in which the attendant dignitaries were asked the question, if you could not be who you are, who would you like to be? Of course, Bismarck or Napoleon, or, that's what they were all talking about, great military leaders. Well, naturally, everyone was curious what Churchill, who was at his prime at that time, seated next to his beloved Clemmy, would say. By the way, Clemmy is his wife. When it finally came to be Churchill's turn, the old man, who was the dinner's last respondent to the question, rose. And here's his answer. He said, if I could not be who I am, I would most like to be. And here he paused and lovingly grabbed his wife's hand and clasped it in his and looked into her eyes. And then he said, I would like to be Lady Churchill's second husband. You catch that? He'd like to have a second go-around. She's so wonderful. Well, the old boy made some points that night, but his comments also apply to every one of us this evening who has a no-regret marriage and family that's offered to us through God's Word.